Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I'd like to thank the chairwoman from the committee. She was very gracious during the committee. I learned quite a bit from her. I want to thank her for that. And I, in particular, want to thank the ranking member. The ranking member gave me the opportunity to speak here that normally doesn't happen to freshmen, and I really appreciate that. He has a reputation of being very gracious and kind, and I appreciate it. It was certainly demonstrated here today. I do have to respond, however. There was the issue of immorality that was brought up earlier, and as a former Jesuit, I'm very comfortable with that type of language. And I believe that it was said that leaving bills for other generations, future generations, was the most immoral thing we can do. Certainly would challenge that premise. I think there's a lot more immoral things that we can do. However, when you do take a look at the issue of immorality and saying that we're going to leave this huge deficit, this huge debt to future generations, I think that that is immoral. However, it's interesting, the argument on the other side is just simply the argument of cuts and not revenue. So, for example, corporate jets, there are loopholes for them now. We could close them. It wouldn't hurt the millionaires and the billionaires to pay taxes on them. It wouldn't hurt them one bit. And that, of course, would cut the debt, the deficit that we leave for these future generations, reducing the immorality. We could have the wealthy, instead of paying 12, 13% on average, pay what middle-class people pay. That certainly would cut the debt and the deficit significantly, reducing once again the immorality. But it's interesting, talking about immorality, the Bible certainly speaks to that. In Amos, prophet Amos, if you look it up, you'll see that Amos speaks about the Anawim. And the Anawim are God's little ones. The little ones then were the orphans and the widows because of the condition they were in. It was very difficult for them to survive. And we then, or at that time the Israelites, were going to be judged on how they treated the Anawim. That carries forward into the New Testament. If you look in Matthew 25, he said, how are we going to be judged? How are we going to be judged? Jesus makes it easy. He says, whatever you do to the least of my brothers, you did to me. Then he goes through a litany of things. He says, when I was hungry, you gave me to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. When I was a stranger, interestingly, when I was a stranger, and we're certainly having that conversation with immigrants today, when I was a stranger, you welcomed me. When I was ill, you cured me. Interestingly, too, when I was a prisoner, you came and visited me. Didn't say if you were innocent, by the way. Didn't say that. So when I was a prisoner, you came and you visited me. That's how we're going to be judged. And these budgets should go towards those values. That's what's moral. Taking care of those that are thirsty and hungry, those that are strangers. And these committees work hard to make sure that that happens. And they do a very good job. In fact, no one's argued that they don't, just the opposite. What we have heard from the committee chairs is, don't cut us because we can do even a better job. And not only that, you're loading the work on us. So I would conclude and again thank the ranking member and certainly thank the chair for the opportunity. And I would urge my colleagues to defeat this resolution. And I appreciate the opportunity again.